I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hey guys! Welcome back to the All Rise After Show. We're back from a little bit of a hiatus. Tonight we're getting into Season 1, Episode 16, My Fair Lockdown. Of course, we're going to talk about the hostage situation. Judge Bender's true colors have finally come out. And of course, we have news and gossip, predictions, and our special segment. But sitting over to my left, I have Ms. Zuri. How you doing, girl?
I'm good. I'm Mondaying it.
Fair enough. Alexis will be back next week, or the next time that we're back. We'll get into that later. But she is here with us in spirit, and I'm your moderator, Princess Carroll. So let's just go ahead and dive into tonight's episode. Zuri, what were your overall thoughts?
There was a lot, but not much happening on this episode at the same time. I feel like there was some shocking moments, like Judge Benner and her situation, but then others were kind of like, I'm not sure what's happening here. Kind of seen this before. Yeah. That's fair. We were talking offline about how it seems like it's kind of reached a glass ceiling.
It's plateaued, because I feel like they have done this before, where there's this big crazy situation in the courtroom and Lola has to diffuse it somehow, and of course it always involves Emily, because that's the only public defender she works with. And I don't know. I just wonder if there's something going on in the writer's room, because it's not really doing it as much.
Yeah, if I'd have to go off on a tangent and just, working in the entertainment field and working with large groups of people, it seems like there could be a lot of no's and not a lot of yeses happening. So I say that to say, it seems like although it's a show about a court, justice system, but we rarely get outside of the court situations, which I think would help a lot move storylines forward. It seems like certain people are confined to certain storylines, or maybe the idea of having them portray this one archetype person, but I think that people are multifaceted, so they should go ahead and branch out a bit. And I think those two alone, getting more life outside of the courtroom and allowing people to expand. Let's see who Lola is outside of being a judge, right? She's very smart. She's married. We're starting to see a bit of the struggle with her husband, which is also getting kind of tiring, opening up with scenes about her begging her husband to come home. We've seen that a bit, and I thought we saw that this episode. So I think, let's give Lola some extracurricular activities. Does Lola have friends? What are there there can be so much more brought into this, so yeah.
I agree. So let's go ahead and get into the big shocker of the night, which was the hostage situation. What did you think of that? Because this is not the first time we've seen lives at risk in the courtroom on the show.
Again, something that we've seen already, and I get that the person who was irate was a stereotype, and that they kind of shine light on that, which I thought
Ephraim.
Ephraim. I thought we've had that in another episode, but fine. I did think it was weird how there were two guns.
Yeah, really it is a detective, so I guess he should be armed, but
he's trained. This guy is.
I was surprised he didn't shoot him. I was like, that's because we're watching network TV. Because otherwise, he would have shot him
or killed himself,
or killed either, if not both. That's what I was thinking. But sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. Yeah, that was. For me, it was kind of lackluster, just because I feel like we've got this narrative before.
Yeah.
And earlier in the season, and that was when we were getting these crazy, action-packed first 10 seconds. And then we've transitioned, but we've had this before.
Yeah, I think going back to what you were saying earlier, we've gotten so invested into the lives of our 5 to 6 main characters. I think it could be time to branch out. Obviously, we get this is a crazy courtroom. There's so much going on at all times. But do you think that we still need elements like this in the story? Do we still need these antics? Or even just, do we still need the messages to be presented to us in the same way?
No, let's get someone to have a baby in the courtroom and talk about how, Black women are having issues with, having babies in the hospital. There are just so many other things that we can do outside of mass shooter.
That actually did happen in an episode. You just weren't here for it.
Oh, okay.
But there's so many, to your point, there's so many other issues that can be touched
I remember
on.
that. I remember that.
Yeah, there are so many other issues that can be touched on, but that, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, in terms of, like, if we want to be crazy in the courtroom, like, there are a lot more things.
That can happen. That can happen. Well, let's go ahead and focus on the characters. So we got to see Judge Benner's truer colors. I don't know if it's her truest colors, but we got a little bit more out of the situation and more of her side of the story. Do you buy it at all?
Deep sigh with this Judge Benner situation. First off, this lady who they were dating, did they discuss why they broke up? I feel like
it seemed like it could have been twofold. It seemed like she didn't like the way that that Benner was acting, right? But then also it seemed like just going off of the interaction they had, how she went back on a couple things that she wouldn't give into when they were dating. So it seemed like it just kind of fizzled out. It wasn't really working. They wanted different things. That's what I gathered.
Right. And so Judge Benner said that she gave Lola this task knowing that it would kind of blow up on her, but I guess Lola as the guinea pig to see the public's reaction, because I guess she's guessing that Lola's a good kind of mimic to how people would take it.
Mm-hmm. Did you buy that? Do you think that makes sense at all?
That's people's actual jobs. Like that's what Lexi was saying too. Like, this is a judge. She has things to do.
Yeah.
Like, Benner, you have money. This is someone's whole job. Hire someone else. I didn't like that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Now, when we found out that the reason that things were kind of murky for Benner is because she's the one that actually leaked these papers. It's kind of muddy water as being a lawyer. She talked about the possibility of being disbarred, but at the same time, she felt like she had this moral responsibility. What did you think? Do you think that really sheds light on her character, or do you still not trust her?
I still don't trust her. Also, why are we sharing this information in at court? Like, in the even in this building and in the judicial building, knowing you could be disbarred, you're sharing the secret with your ex and you're trying to elevate yourself. I thought that was kind of irresponsible too.
Yeah.
Something I was like, let's go for dinner or coffee or turn it around. How are things for you? So
right.
I think that just kind of makes it even more untrustworthy, because what exactly is the plan here, Benner? Like, this is you're much smarter than this.
Yeah, it was kind of, I mean, I understood where she was coming from. She had this, I guess she's revealing, or the writers are revealing, her moral compass. But something still seems a little self-serving about this situation. And, I mean, do you think that there's going to be more coming to the surface as Lola continues her investigation?
Yeah, I feel like Lola's definitely going to side-eye why her name is Jean, why Jean and Benner were talking, and why Benner kind of just dismissed it. Although Lola did have a really long day, I think the way she did it was kind of like, I don't want to deal with this right now.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised, actually, if next episode Benner just decided to step down from whatever she's pursuing. I forget what the title she's going after, but I'd imagine that she might just step down from it, because Lola's going to find it, and Lola's very clear on how she feels about the public and being honest and how you treat people. So I'm kind of, now that I think about it, I feel like Benner's kind of wasting her time, because you know what Lola's going to say. Like, she literally has been put up in front of her peers and possibly fired for fighting for what's right. So do you really think that Lola's just going to let you sweep this under the rug?
Yeah, and I don't buy the, if she can forgive me, maybe I can forgive myself narrative.
Oh, please, cry me a river. Cue the ukulele. Like, no, thank you.
Zuri's not here for it at all. All right, well, before we move on to our next topic, Zuri, do you have a message for our fans out there?
I do. Hey, guys, I just want to say thank you for making us the ESPN of TV Talk. Thank you for showing up for us every single Monday night. And whenever you listen to us on the podcast, if you listen to us on the podcast, make sure that you give us a 5-star rating as well as a thumbs up on YouTube, and leave a comment in the comment section. We love seeing fun comments. Princess is doing great things outside of AfterBuzz as well as myself, so be sure to follow us to keep up on all things TV.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yep.
All right, so let's move on to another relationship. So we have Sherri and Keven.
Whoa, this is what I've been asking for all year.
Sure, and it came out of left field. I was like, wait, she referred to him as her boyfriend, which I was just like, I didn't even know y'all went on a date. When did this muffin thing happen?
He decided to show up with treats and she declined, but she did kind of invite him to, she said, I eat something every morning at 7 a.m. and it's great. So I guess that was like his invitation to show up. Mm-hmm. But as far as calling him boyfriend, like, woo, that near-death experience got her together.
Very quickly. Beyond belief almost.
Yeah, she's like, you have a concussion, you can't sleep, guess we have to be together. I was like, okay.
All righty.
But I've been calling for this since day one, literally, like frisky Sherri.
You have. You were correct, ma'am.
So maybe someone's listening out there.
Well, do you think that it's going to last, or do you think this is a fling?
I think that they're going to give us something like Emily and Luke. I don't know what the situation is behind having people have such strenuous relationships on this show. More so, not even that they are having compatibility issues, but it seems like everyone's fighting themselves. In these relationships, like even the Luke, well, not Luke fighting himself so much, but it just seems
Emily.
like everyone has so much baggage that they can't possibly be with someone else.
Yeah.
Which I'm grateful that we're not getting this, cheating or whatever kind of other stuff that we get outside of the show. But I do see, to answer your question, Sherri not being able to, maybe she slips up at work, or maybe something has triggered her from her past and this guy's going to keep pursuing her. I would say almost similar to a Luke and Emily situation. I hope that I am wrong, but I definitely see it going down that path.
Do you think that Sherri has some, similar to Emily, some sort of negative relationship history, or do you think she's just super driven? Like, what's behind her guardedness?
Yeah, I think we saw that when Lola had to come to her house. She talked about how her parents weren't very organized and it drove her crazy. I see something like that happen, and I see that she's going to have to share her space with someone and she doesn't know how. So I think I would personally like to see it be more so I'm learning to love a multifaceted me, and you're here with me on this journey, opposed to a Luke and Emily, let's take it slow because I have so much trauma.
That's fair. So let's go ahead and move on to Luke and Emily, Lemily, as we like to say. What do you think happened? I just feel like it was burning up and it was becoming this beautiful flame, and then it fizzled out.
And we don't know why. Like, there's literally a gaping hole in this story between these two episodes. It's like, it looks like someone was working on a puzzle and walked away and someone else picked up the pieces.
Dang.
Like, compared to last episode, because we saw Luke and the clerk flirting. She seemed interested. Luke didn't call Emily his girlfriend.
Never addressed
it, but okay, fine if the show doesn't want to take a drama route, because it seems like they're just doing their absolute best to not have drama, like childish petty drama between each other. So fine, I'm gonna take that. But Emily kept talking, and they're going back and forth with each other, bouncing off ideas. I feel like the last episode before this one ended kind of weird, but it wasn't weird enough to where
you would question their future.
Yes. So then today, so last episode we see Luke is reading a book on how to talk to someone who has some emotional blockages, I guess. I forget what the book's title was. But then at the end, he says, he blurts out, I love you. Okay, Luke. And then she kind of doesn't say it back. So it's like, you didn't claim her. Now you say you love her. And both times she didn't acknowledge either.
Right. I mean, she started to say something, but Sarah came out of left field and was like, I love you. And, you're alive.
Which seems to be something that happens.
Right. So I will say, in Emily's defense, she didn't get the time to, because her roommate came in. I mean, I guess she could have said, hey, I'm so glad to see Sarah. Just give me 1 minute. Maybe that's what the response that Luke wanted. I I don't know.
Or for Luke to have lingered. Like, why did he?
That's true. He didn't have to assume the worst. He could have been like, you know what? She just faced this near-death experience. Let me give her some time with her friend, too.
Or we all could have talked about it.
That's true.
He knows both of them.
And Sarah knows how much Luke loves Emily. So
Right. I feel like, me personally, if I'm talking to a guy that I'm interested in or I'm dealing with and my friends come up, we're all just going to walk together. And they know each other.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I would, if he were to walk away, I would ask him, why are you walking away? Like, maybe I'm just me, but.
No,
what do you
I
think?
thought, I agree. No, I agree. I did feel like he just gave up a little too willingly.
Yeah.
It just felt like she was about to say something. We know that she's had issues. I just felt like he just gave up too willingly, like I said. It was kind of out of left field yet again. But we do have a budding relationship that I do want to talk about, and that is, if there's even a future, there may not be. This might have just been a fling. But Benner and Sarah. Do you think there's a future there, or do you think this is going to be like a 2-episode arc or something?
You know, I hope so. I hope that they spice things up. Like, he actually seems pretty interested. I know that they had like something move pretty fast between us, but he seems like he's interested in her. And she seems like the fun one of the group and the most spontaneous of the group.
The most open.
And the most open of the group. So, you know, I'm rooting for this. What's his name? Ben and Sarah?
San, I don't know.
Sen?
Maybe not.
We're gonna give some thought.
We'll figure it out.
Leave some notes in the chat.
Yes, let us know what their shipping name should be. But hopefully, I like it so far. I think it definitely will spice things up. He seems like he might be different from his mom, and it'll be cool to see what those differences are. And Sarah does seem to be the most open, so hopefully this can be a good relationship.
Right.
But I did want to, before we move on, I do want to talk about Lola and her husband, and also Mark. I foresee something, but I'm not going to get into it. Tell me your thoughts. You spoke on it a little bit earlier. I want to hear more of your thoughts on this weird triangle square
Exhaustion.
thing. Exhaustion.
I think the last 2 episodes, maybe 3, we've talked about how he was gone and she missed him. Like, these are my thoughts. I feel like this show has so many great things to say about Lola, being a black woman, her being a judge, her fighting for people, her doing all these things. But when it comes to, like I said, does she have friends? I think this is an opportunity to show maybe another group of black women who are all successful and, you know, doing well for themselves. She actually has a life. Her life cannot just be her husband and her job. Like, I feel like if we're going to have this narrative, they should mix that up.
Right.
Also, I think as a black woman who's doing well for herself, I personally don't want to see her begging her husband every episode about how much she misses him. I think that is a very tired narrative. I want to see, and give us a glimpse of them meeting in like Idaho and them talking.
Some signs of health in their relationship.
Yeah, I feel like the past few episodes she's just been talking about, I miss you, when are we going to see you? And then this time, you know, I don't know if you've ever had a long day and your parents don't answer the phone, or the person that you're looking to be your confidant doesn't answer the phone. Exhaustion. Like, and I think that's very relatable, but I also think that there's many other ways to take this story. And if this isn't leading towards a separation or alluding to him maybe, you know, not being the husband that we think he is, fine. But if it's going nowhere, exhaustion.
Yeah. No, I mean, I as a black woman, I would love to see a healthy black relationship. But, and I wanted to ask you this too, do you think they're setting something up? And I do think that they are. I think it's interesting that the person that Mark had to run to wasn't Amy, who's in West Covina, we know. But still, he ran to Lola. Lola's parents are expecting Mark at the dinner, which I still don't understand. I know they said early on they're not going to have them shipping. But at the same time, I just feel like they're just setting it up. What do you think?
I think that they're not going to ship them, but I think that's one thing that this show has done really well in terms of like keeping the audience like what's going to happen next, because we don't know, right? Like if we read the article, well, I read it and we shared that they're not going to ship them, but I think as far as a viewer, that's something to come back for every week because like are they going to be shipped? Lola keeps talking about how it's hard to see her husband. Mark and Amy, they're just starting to have something, but Mark seems to cater to Lola a lot. Like you said, her parents even expected him at the dinner. So I think they're doing a really good job at keeping the viewer wanting more from that interaction.
That's fair. I'm just kind of like, if you're going to play we are going to keep it professional or keep it they're really close friends and just not make them an item, then just make it more realistic. She's a married woman. He's a man in a relationship. I just don't know if I see them interacting on the level that they interact, with the level of devotion that they have for one another without there being some romance involved. And I have really good guy friends that are like my brother, but I've seen them choose each other one too many times over other people, and it's just starting to make me question things. So,
I mean, they may change their mind. Writers are allowed to change their mind from the first article.
Especially if people are really interested and they want it. And, if they read the article, then they may want to throw people off, because we may feel like we know what's going to happen and they may change their minds and decide to, throw in a plot twist. But I don't know. I feel you on the exhaustion piece. Either Lola and her husband are going to be a healthy power couple or let him go. And then how is that going to affect Lola? I don't know. It'll be interesting.
But I think that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like there has to be a reason why they don't take this show outside of the courtroom. Like, I think if Lola's going to be this martyr, let's see them meet up in Vegas and her mediate in a crazy situation, like with her husband. I think there's just so much room for growth.
Yeah.
And opportunity.
Nothing but space and opportunity.
And we're cheering for her.
We are cheering for the show. I think that it did really well, and I think it has great potential. It's just I don't know what's going on with these last couple episodes. I don't know if there's something going on with the writers' room, on top of the fact that it's been inconsistent in its airing. So,
well, it seems like they could be wanting to get more viewers, because I've noticed literally like the days that are like holiday Mondays is when the show airs, but then the week after it won't air.
But see, are people really watching TV during that time?
I think I agree strongly. I strongly agree, but I also think that they may be banking on people being at home and just having CBS on. Yeah.
I don't know, but I guess we'll find out in the next episode in a couple weeks. But that wraps up this episode. Let's go ahead and move into news and gossip.
News and gossip, my favorite segment.
Yeah.
So today is actually Wilson's Bethel's birthday. So
Yay!
Happy 36th birthday to him. It looks like they had food on set to celebrate his birthday. He looks really excited about it.
It's a great photo.
Yep, he doesn't have an Instagram, so the All Rise show's Instagram said leave your favorite food in the comments under the comment section to celebrate his birthday.
How cute.
Yes.
I love that photo.
He's a really good 36. Like, I wouldn't have guessed that he was 36.
No, me neither. I'm pleasantly surprised. Good for you, Wilson.
What's your moisturizer?
What is your routine? Take us through.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have our special segment. Oh, yeah. So our special segment is Weird Court Cases. And tonight's going to be pretty brief, pretty straightforward and simple. The source for tonight's is AOL.com. So if anyone out there is still using AOL, this is where you can find it. But a Detroit native, Richard Overton, sued Anheuser-Busch and Coors, the alcohol company. He said their ads were untrue, dismissive, and misleading. And so it's interesting because the way this was reported originally, people made it seem like, oh, this guy is just upset because his life doesn't reflect the life of these commercials where these party guys are surrounded by beautiful women, and that was all the results of this alcohol. But what this AOL article actually clarified is that he actually is a former alcoholic, and so for him, he just wants these companies to portray the whole truth. So not just the partying elements of drinking, but also how it affects lives. So I guess it was a little bit more altruistic than it was portrayed in the media. But yes, he claimed the company violated Michigan state law regarding misleading advertising. And he said he doesn't want to stop anyone else from drinking. He just wants them to fully depict the risks associated with alcohol. The court case was dismissed, and it was also the appeal that he filed was also dismissed. But yeah, that is your interesting court case.
I mean, so does he want them, like, you know, on like those random pills, they have like, you may lose your left eye and your left toe may fall off. Like, does he want that to happen at the end of an alcohol ad?
He may. I mean, it seemed like he was thinking about his kids. It's a tough situation because I feel like the kids that are of the age where they would be misled aren't really interested in drinking alcohol. It's more of the older kids who really have, I think, a good sense of some of the effects of alcoholism, or at least get a full, well-rounded idea. They know their life is not going to change because they are drinking this Anheuser-Busch beer.
Right.
But I get it.
I mean, I get it. I think that's marketing in general. Like, I think it's unfortunate that that's how it looks in the alcohol space. But as far as weight loss pills, beauty creams, like, it's all the same.
And they're not marketing to kids. It's not a situation where they're using a cartoon character to market this item. In that case, you could say, well, they're trying to market to kids. But this is very clearly, this is marketed toward adults, or at least people who are old enough to understand that this is an ad.
They've taken the DARE class, or they like know what that means.
Oh, back in the day, I don't think they have DARE anymore. Oh, I lied. I've seen people in T-shirts. But anyway, that is our special segment for tonight. Let's get into predictions.
Princess, I don't even know what I predict.
There's so many places you could go with this.
I know. I predict that Lemily is going to have another breakdown. You're just going to trust me. I believe in you. Love me. I believe that's how it's really going to go. I also believe that,
That's what you're sticking to tonight?
I think that Sherri and Keven are going to have a good fling, and it's going to be over soon.
Okay.
But he's not going out without a fight.
Fair enough. I think that it just makes sense that Judge Bender's son is popping up now, and he's getting involved, and he's getting into the lives of our favorite courthouse community. So I think that's going to spice things up, obviously, between him and Sarah, but I feel like it may have implications for her political career as well. So that's kind of my predictions. We'll see. But that is it for tonight's episode. Zuri, where can we find you on social media?
You guys can find me on all things social media at Zuri Space.
And you guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at PrincessCTV. We will see you guys in 2 weeks. They're not airing episodes for a little while. But otherwise, keep an eye out. We'll see you soon. Bye, guys.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.